and it says it should be between a half turn or two-thirds, and you can feel the crush washer kind of depress. So let's do from 3 o'clock to 6. There's a quarter. Do it one more time. There's a half. So 3/4 would be back here, and that's about halfway in between the quarters. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Life in Every Season. I have a little maintenance chore on our 2010 RAV4. It is time to change the spark plugs. Last time I changed the plugs, I couldn't get the 100, well, these are rated for 120,000 miles, just like the OEM, what came with the vehicle. And I think it was during the supply chain issues with COVID, I had to get, what's the difference in these? Instead of the laser Iridium NGK, I got just the Iridium. And they only have about a 50,000 mile life, so it is now time to change. This time I was able to find the longer, rated for 120K. Important safety tip, it's even on the side of the package. Do not, I don't know if you can see that, do not gap these with the old, looks like a big $50 circle, and it's got marks on it and thickness. Don't do that. That'll scratch the Iridium off. So I appreciate the auto parts store clerk telling me that yesterday. And so that's an important safety tip. And let's see, what else we got? Before we start this process, we were lucky enough to buy this car from someone we owned in 2019. And it had like 125,000 miles, but we were able to get it, tag it, title it, and we had to pay tax in the state we live. It was about $6,500 car. So it has been fantastic. It is now, that was April of 2019. It's now February of 2024. So almost 5 years. We put 72,000 miles. All we've done is oil changes, had to get a set of tires. The only thing out of the ordinary was a wheel bearing. So love Toyotas, love these. So the first thing in this project, we'll have to take the beauty piece off the valve cover. I've already popped it. It has 3. These are just push pins. You can hopefully see they're a little fatter at the top. So you just wiggle them up, pop those off. I have already come in here and I use my shop vac over here and a toothbrush. I got up all the debris I could. I vacuumed it, and because I don't want any debris falling into the cylinders as I have the spark plug out. Then I turned it around the shop vac and just blew everything and cleaned up here. And I've already got 3 of the coil packs disconnected, and there's a 10 millimeter bolt to take out. So let's do the last one. All right, so it's now loose. I'll get it out with my fingers. And I'm going to lay these out just like I've done when I get the coil packs. I'm going to lay them out from, as I took them out, right to left. So the bolts, they are all the same size, but I'm going to put them back in the same cylinder. So after you have them disconnected, these pull up. So we'll lay this one to the far right side. There's that one. There's that one. And these, there's a depression here. You push it in and then wiggle it. If you have trouble, my fingers are not like they were. Feel down here, you're not pinching wires. You could take a pair of pliers and push that up. I had to on the first one. Like I don't still have the grip strength I used to. So we're gonna pull the last one out, lay it to the far left. Then I've got this light. I'm gonna look and see if there's any oil in here before I pull. That one's dry, dry, dry. the seals can go bad on your valve covers and let oil into this cylinder area where the spark plug lives. And I did upgrade and bought yesterday a magnetic spark plug wrench, because I remember last time this being just a pain trying to get the spark plugs in and out. So let's take those down in there. All right, so 10 millimeters on the bolts that hold the coils. We'll set that. I'll set it up here with the bolts for now. Remember, lefty loosey, righty tighty. I did not use the anti-seize lube on these. It was recommended not to use that anymore. I had done that for years. But these are coming right out. I'm just making sure we'll get them where I can just take them out with my fingers. So those are all backing out real good. And when we go back, remember not to over tighten your spark plugs. I would say it'd almost be better to under tighten and then go back, and after it runs a little bit, and then tighten it back. Then over tightening gets to be a mess. See how nice that magnetic spark plug wrench works. I got my glove in it. There we go. That's nice. These are brown. They're not goopy or oily, at least this first cylinder. So I'm going to lay those old ones up here by each coil pack. Okay, we're ready to go back in with a fresh new plug. I took these out inside, laid them on my desk, and like I say, these come pre-gapped and you're not supposed to touch anything. So I took them all out of the box and eyeballed them. All the gap looked the same. I also inspected to make sure there were no cracks on the porcelain, excuse me, say it again, the porcelain. And didn't see any visual cracks or any other things that could have happened in shipping, or maybe it's just the manufacturing flaw, which NGK usually doesn't have that. I have used these in motorcycles and cars for most of my life. So we're going to put that in the magnetic socket. I'm going to very gently. You don't want to slam it down in, because you don't want to hit that, mash that electrode and the gap gets smaller or damage it anyway. So I'm going to use my fingers to run it in to make sure I felt it grab, and it's moving really easy with just a thumb and index finger. So we're going to run that in. The last thing you want to do is cross thread. That's like over tightening. Cross threading would be a really bad thing. So we're going to run that finger tight. I'll do the other three, and then we'll come back and do the final tightening. Okay, all the spark plugs are in finger tight, and I learned something. You don't always need all the fancy tools to work on your own car. You say I'm just using hand tools. This is not a hard job to do or heavy. But I looked at the NGK site and some other sites. I was looking for the torque setting. Now I don't have a torque wrench that I trust for this light of setting. I was getting 14, 15 pounds of torque, definitely probably no more than 20. But if you don't have a torque wrench, I went to the NGK site, and this is from, if you don't have one, and if I looked on another forum, someone even said they called NGK. If you don't have a torque wrench, the information they have on their website's for lawnmowers. But you see I've got this at about the 3 o'clock position, my ratchet. So let's think of 1 pi, or 360 degrees. We're going to take it a quarter turn. And it says it should be between a half turn or to 2/3. And you can feel the crush washer kind of depress. So let's do from 3 o'clock to 6. There's a quarter. Do it one more time. There's a half. So 3/4 would be back here. And that's about halfway in between the quarters. So that is really a good reference point. I just learned to, let's get this back around. So 9 to 3, or 9 to 6, there's a half. And again, it's about the same. You can feel it. You don't, like I say, don't want to over tighten it. Then you get into all sorts of trouble and you're going to take it to a mechanic. Let's do this one since that's in the way. 6 to 9, 6 to 9 o'clock, and let's about right there. All right, so we got the plugs in. They're tightened. I've got my coil packs laid out in the order. I think I might get some silicone to put. I think I'll just blow them out. They look in good shape. So this is the first one I took out on the right hand side. Went right back down in. You will put the 10mm bolt back in. You will just, this is the connection for the coil. You can hear it snap. We'll change our ratchet out to the 10mm, righty tighty, and this is plastic here with a, does have a steel fit, but I'm just going to grab way up here on the neck so I don't over tighten. You get more leverage down here because that doesn't need to be much more than just a little over finger tight. So I'll finish up the rest and we'll fire it up after I get it all done and see how it idles. Before I start, I'll show you the plugs that came out. I think I'm far enough away you can get an idea. So they're not, if they're really dark and black, that's not good. If they're too light gray, that's not good. These are in a setting that I would say they were doing okay. Let me see if I see any wear. Yeah, I need readers. Need readers to do anything these days. I don't see anything too crazy. All the gaps look the same. They all look about the same. So, but anyway, we'll go by the recommendations and change these out. We're getting a little bit of roughness at idle. I'm hoping this will make it go away. All right, let's line up our, tell you what, before I put this beauty piece last on, let's go ahead and fire it up. Got all my tools out of the way. Okay, it's running, so I didn't kill our car, which is nice. You would hate to do that, changing spark plugs. I have done this, like say, in motorcycles since I was 10 years old. And then on the cars and things as I got older. Luckily, I had some good mechanics in my life that gave me good tips. So I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. It just takes a second. We appreciate it. It helps our little channel. And we will catch you on the next one. Bye. Okay, a little addendum after the goodbye. I'm going to make sure all these electrical connections are plugged in. I heard them all snap, and then make sure these 10mm bolts holding the coil packs are down good. Now, if you have any trouble, I'm going to give you advice of one of the fellas I used to road race motorcycles, and he was the tire guy, but he was trained as a motorcycle mechanic. Good advice: if you have trouble with something after you've worked on your car, go back to the last thing you touched. So, as an example, if you get a misfire, check your connections for your coil packs, and then maybe you've got a bad spark plug. So that would be the first thing I would check, the last thing that I touched. Hopefully you touch things better in your car better than I do, and you don't cause more problems. But I only attempt things that I feel comfortable with, and I think that's it. Hope this helps.